everybody, and welcome to the National Data. I'm gonna mess it up now. Welcome to our kickoff meeting for the National Network. I'm sorry. Let's get started. I'm Mary Piorin, and I am the director at UMass Medical School and the Region 7 program. I just want to welcome everybody here, and I have two quick announcements. One is just a reminder that we are being recorded, and this will be available later for viewing. And the second message I want to let you know is that everybody is muted, and we will be using the chat function. So feel free to ask any questions in that, and we will do our best to answer them. If you feel like your question has not been answered, feel free to submit it a second time, as it may have gone by too quickly. So we are starting our kickoff with the National Center for Data Services, and I am really excited to be in this partnership with NYU University. I feel like this is the best of both worlds. NYU brings a lot of experience into the NNLM program, and we're really excited to have them on board. So today you're just going to hear a little bit about our proposal, what we want to do, opportunities for you to participate, and opportunities to give us feedback. So, Elisa?
Hi, so I am Elisa Serkis. I'm the director of the center, and I also would like to welcome you and thank you all for coming out to hear about the center. We're really excited to share with you some of the work we're doing and hopefully hear some things from you. So I wanted to actually start with asking you all a question, which is, and there's, you can either to answer the question, Rebecca's going to put a link in the chat. It's right there, or you can do menti.com and put that code in. So yeah, just trying to get a sense of, before we kind of did the big push for the kickoff announcement, how much people had heard about the center. I'm just going to give it a minute. We have about 100 and almost 190 attendees, so I will not wait for all of that. But okay, this is interesting. So it seems that a lot of people had heard about it, but there's still also a lot of corners where we the message was not really getting out until, again, that we did this big push. So thank you for your input there. And then I wanted to just introduce who the center is. So as I said, I'm the director, and we're just going to introduce ourselves going down the row. So I'm going to hand it next to Peace.
You're muted, Peace.
Am I?
Not anymore.
Okay. I must have a delay. My name is Peace Awesome Williamson. I am the Associate Director of the NCDS.
Hello, everybody. My name is Justin Dela Cruz. I'm the Program Specialist for NCDS.
Hello, everyone. I'm Deborah Peters, and I am the Administrative Coordinator for the NCDS.
Hello, everyone. My name is Genevieve Milliken, and I am the Data Services Librarian at the Health Sciences Library, as one of the 3 content experts at the National Center for Data Services. Prior to this role, I was a research assistant for a project that looked at the uses of Git and GitHub in academic research. And in my current role, I teach classes on research data management, Python, REDCap, and I am also a carpentries instructor. With that said, I will pass it on to Fred.
Hi all, I'm Fred LaPola, a research and data librarian here at NYU Langone, and also one of the content experts.
And that leaves me. I'm Nicole Contaxis. I am also a data librarian at NYU Health Sciences Library, and I am the third of the content experts for the NCDS.
Okay, thank you all, and also particularly welcome to Justin, who just joined the center on Monday. So our newest member. And so I just wanted to take a really quick minute to say why there is a National Center for Data Services now. And basically starting when the National Library of Medicine put out their strategic plan in 2017, two of the goals were to accelerate discovery and advance health by providing tools for data-driven research and to build a workforce for data-driven research in health. And so how that came about that there was a center 4 years later, well, that's a longer story, but again, so that is essentially the core of what led to NNLM deciding to have a standalone center for data services. We were funded starting in July, and we really sort of started getting up and going, or maybe around October, I'll say. And we're now at this point starting to get our feet under us. So hopefully you'll be hearing a lot more about us in the coming months. The goals of the center follow very much from that strategic plan, which is that we are looking to develop capacity to both conduct data science and or deliver data services in the health information community. We're looking to partner with other national data or health sciences organizations to be able to maximize impact. So we definitely do not take a go it alone approach. We really are looking for partnerships and input from others who have been working in this area. And of course, supporting the NIH priorities in data science, data services, and data governance. And this diagram, which has a lot of acronyms that I'm not expecting you to know all of, but it's just to give an idea that, you know, again, in the vein of not going it alone, that we are looking for advising, we are looking for partnerships, and we're looking for this around training, outreach. So we're really looking to interact with the community, both the other parts of the NNLM and other organizations. So a few examples are our external advisory board. This is our external advisory board thus far. We will probably be adding a couple more people. But so far we have Julia Stoyanovich, who is a data scientist, a professor at NYU, and her research focuses on responsible data management and analysis and on operationalizing fairness, diversity, and transparency across the data lifecycle. Anita Brandrowski, who's a neuroscientist who does work to facilitate reproducibility, rigor, and transparency. Gabriela Mostada Wilson, who is an informaticist from University of Texas Arlington, who developed a comprehensive curriculum for the health information and health informatics and information management program with a focus on interdisciplinary collaboration. Karen Scott, who's the founder and CEO of Birthing Cultural Rigor, which is sponsored by the Public Health Institute, and that work is focused on combating medical racism in research and healthcare. And Ben Gerber from UMass Chan Medical School, who is a clinician with data expertise, who leads their informatics and implementation science efforts. So we're really looking to get advising, not just from sort of within our community, you know, be it the library community, but, you know, really looking sort of outside, like to adjacent fields, essentially. So the fields that we are looking to support and get direct advice from those people to make sure that we are going along the right lines and not just kind of being in an echo chamber. We have started building some external partnerships. So we've partnered with FASA, the DMP tool, and RDAP on a DMP challenge, and Peace is going to talk about this. But basically, we are providing judging, rubric development, and promotion in this contest to have researchers submit data management plans and sort of try and build up some, skills and excitement around that. And then for the upcoming MLA meeting, we are partnering with the Data Curation Network and the Data Discovery Collaboration on an immersion session that's sponsored by the MLA Data Caucus. And then, you know, if you're if you've had experience interacting with your regional medical libraries, we are, of course, going to be interacting a lot with the RMLs and the other offices and centers of the NNLM. We're not looking to do a one-size-fits-all approach. We want to better understand the data needs of the particular regions, build data science capacity within the RMLs to sort of extend our reach and to collaborate on programming. And with that, I am going to once again turn to Mentimeter and ask for your input, which is just to enter a few words to reflect what you would like to see from the NCDS. There we go. I hope this is half as much fun for you all as it is for me, because I'm really enjoying seeing this word cloud being built. So I think it's pretty clear that education, training, and support, as well as collaboration, are really standing out as things we'd like to see. So data governance, data sets advocacy, frequent communication, printable infographics. This is great. I won't spend too long staring at this, but we will have this data later to get, to kind of go through this a little bit more and see what else is standing out here. But support, training, collaboration are all things that we are, very much, that is what we are planning to do. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Peace. I think it is yours from here. So can you grab the screen?
I see you talking, Peace, but I'm not hearing you. Is it just me, folks? No, okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I think mine just has a delay for some reason. I didn't push anything, I just waited. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about, in general, what we're planning with the center, and then I'll talk about kind of our focus for this first kind of real year for us, which is 2022, what we have coming up, and ways that you can kind of get involved, learn, and collaborate with us. So the focus of the center has kind of three parts to it. We obviously want to support data services in all of the ways that they're being provided, and that comes at different levels. So first, there's just getting to know what data services are, what is being offered, what are ways to get started at your institution, and that's what we're calling kind of the beginner training level. The second level of training is that developmental level, and these are for people who are providing data services at their institutions. They're looking for some specialized knowledge, maybe in a new area of data services. They'd like to grow in some of the support they're providing, or they need specialized information for kind of what new trend, opportunity, challenge, or change that's going on. So, offering training at spanning those levels so that everyone can find education that's helpful for them. Also, we want to provide resources for, kind of your point of need, ability to access things online that you may need at that moment. So first, those trainings at the specifically.
Peace, I think your sound, you've faded out. I don't know if there's a microphone that you can be closer to or if it is just a delay. No. What about push and mute and then unmuting just for the heck of it? But I don't think that's the issue. Peace, I'm going to try and grab the phone number. If you have a phone that you could call in with, I'm going to give that a bear with me while I grab that. Okay, I put the phone number in chat. Now I'm going to try and grab the access code that you might need.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm using my phone.
Great.
All right. Sorry for that. Not sure where my mic went out. Okay, so we'll talk about year one. Keep up the level of excitement for data. We will focus on data literacy. So someone mentioned kind of objectives to reach, kind of to know where you are in this whole data services ecosystem. So that kind of lines up with what we're thinking as well. First of all, we know that MLA has the data science specialization, and we work with them very closely to make sure our offerings are in alignment with that. So that is one kind of accomplishment for reaching that. We also want to build on these very highly successful RDM 101 and 102 courses, which were focused on 101 was focused on research data management, and 102 was focused kind of on data science and working with data. So we're not reinventing the wheel with this, but we do want to update material. We also want to scale the offerings from research data management to a number of items within data science. So this is really going to offer you a full range of accomplishments in regards to all of the ways that you can provide data support. Now, these are kind of a cohort training system where you're kind of involved in this course for several weeks and, you know, completing activities, assignments, readings, and so on. And so there's also the option for, rather than waiting for one of the courses to come around, you can also take the RDM on demand, which Rebecca just shared the link to the modules in the chat. And you can actually take that on demand at any time. And that also accomplishes the data science specialization. So depending on how you like to learn or when you need access to materials, you can take courses on demand, or you can participate in like our live kind of running of the course. And we plan to have a version of RDM 101 this summer as kind of an introduction to research data management. We will also have skill building. So if you're unfamiliar with the Carpentries is a very collaborative way of teaching data science and automation in research. So these are things like programming languages, version control, and other tools that aren't necessarily traditionally taught in research, and making this accessible training for everyone. And so we are building a community around the Carpentries to offer courses and workshops for people to attend and be able to gain some of these skills that they may be interested in. We're also interested in things like code-a-thons to help consolidate knowledge. And we, look to partner with anyone within the network to put these on and to continue learning outside of the Carpentries, because I really feel that programming and a lot of those kind of more automated research skills really are better when it's part of a community. Elisa mentioned this quickly earlier, and I wanted to go into more depth on this as well. So again, this idea of application is something we're focused on. So we're partnering with FOSSA, GMP Tool, and Art App Association for this DMP challenge. The challenge is focused on data management plans. They play an integral role in ensuring that data are collected, organized, stored, and shared responsibly. As you may or may not know, NIH has new data management and sharing policy that will be enacted in almost exactly 1 year from now. And so the DataWorks Data Management Plan Challenge is all about how to write an effective data management plan for a number of different types of data, research scenarios, and making those public. So there will be several categories where the top data management plan will receive the Outstanding NIH DMSP Award, along with a $500 cash prize. And those data management plans will be made available and published so that those librarians and, of course, researchers out there who want to have access to good examples of data management plans can see and make use of those examples. Also, I highly recommend visiting the link. Rebecca shared it in chat, and it's, of course, on the screen and will be made available in the slides later, because there's also a really helpful rubric there that may be useful, whether or not you want to participate in the challenge. It's a really great rubric for being able to kind of understand the elements of a data management plan, and that may be useful for even just being able to get started. And Nicole and Genevieve, who are part of the NCDS, were instrumental in helping craft that rubric. We also are offering every year an annual short course. So, maybe you don't want an on-demand course, but you don't have the capacity to participate in a full multi-week, really involved course where you're doing a lot of assignments and discussions and so on. Maybe that short course is for you. Also, the short course is also kind of filling that need for development. So rather than the same topic every time of like an intro to data management, the short course will focus on different topics every year. And obviously we'll focus on topics that are of interest and are of greatest need for the time. So this year, our course is a data ethics course that will be offered by Nicole, Fred, and Genevieve. And this course is 3 or 4 sessions where you kind of log in, participate in this webinar, and get really helpful and useful information about data ethics. This was a course that was originally funded by the NNLM MAR as the NYU Health Sciences Library Data Services team, and we're really excited to offer this again. In addition to the short course, we also plan introductory webinars on data topics. So there's kind of 3 levels to these. There are the high-level introductions to keep communities up to date on important issues. And then there are kind of two forms of practitioner perspectives. The first is like a talk or a panel by those working in a topic area. So these are kind of really specific topics where panelists can come together and share what they're doing and how they approach certain scenarios. We also have moderated discussions for people, you know, for us to talk and come together and share so that we can borrow knowledge, share knowledge, come together around a problem and create solutions. So these are three types of webinars that we'd like to offer regularly. And for 2022, the focus will be on the NIH data management and sharing requirements because, you know, we know that many librarians are trying to be prepared and informed about these so that they're able to support their institutions. So in regards to this year, we'll have an introductory webinar. It will be kicking off Love Data Week as well, and it will be taught by Dr. Lisa Federer, and she'll be talking kind of from her perspective on, you know, the data management and sharing requirements of NIH. How does that differ from the 2003 requirements that have been in place all of this time, and other things to know about that policy. We'll also be offering a number of other activities and events during Love Data Week that is in collaboration with various regions like Region 1, Region 3, and Region 5, the various centers and offices of NNLM. And so there's going to be a lot coming out for that week of February 14th. So please be on the lookout for more regarding all of the events and activities being offered by the NNLM at large for the network. In addition to that introductory webinar, we'll also have practitioner perspectives, which will be 3 more webinars throughout the course of the year, providing insight into what librarians are doing nationally to make advancements at their campuses. So we're really hoping that by the end of the year, January 25th, 2023, you'll have all of the information, tools, tips, and ideas for being able to really support your campus as the new policy goes into place. Now, another collaboration that we have across NNLM is the virtual symposium. I just want to kind of give a quick, I guess, tip about that, and that's coming up. There will be a lot more shared soon. This symposium is being led by Regions 1 and 2, but there is a collaboration across numerous regions of NNLM, including, you know, various offices and centers like the NCDS. And this symposium will be March 29th and 30th, and it will be focused on patient perspectives, community involvement in research and healthcare. And there are a number of great speakers we have lined up, so please be on the lookout for more about that as we share more through the various communication channels. Now that I've talked a little bit about kind of the trainings that we have planned in general, as well as this upcoming year, I want to talk about what resources we plan to make available. So first, you may or may not be familiar with the Data Thesaurus. We have taken the Data Thesaurus as we transition to a new NNLM website, and now that is available online currently. We're also making updates and adding new terms to the data. Now we're calling it the Data Glossary to make additions and change, basically add more terms and make it a little bit more comprehensive as it grows, as data services develop further. And we'd love to hear from you if there are terms that you see that are not there, ideas that you might have in regards to features you'd like to see from the Data Glossary. You can reach out to us and let us know, because we'd love to hear, we'd also love to hear just how you're using it and if it's useful for you. We're also planning to create a data roadmap. So again, this goes back to this idea of where am I within data services? Am I a newbie? Am I mid-range? Am I an expert? Where are kind of tracks that I can take in regards to learning about data services, and kind of where is my niche in data services? So we want to provide support for that with a roadmap, which will kind of guide you through pathways. And these pathways will show the various trainings, online resources, tools, and competencies that you can look at and how they align with various pathways you can take within data services. We also would like to create a repository of open educational resources. There are ample resources, educational offerings, and opportunities that are out there that aren't all offered by the NNLM, and we want to make those more visible by placing information about them all in one place, as well as like copyright information, reuse information, and anything that might be useful, so that rather than just happening to know that this training is happening or that this resource is available online, you can go to this repository and find out information about it. This repository will be powered by the NNLM Evaluation Center. They're creating this repository called NNLM Beacon, and we want to make use of that by placing information about educational offerings online in this repository. We also want to create a frequently asked questions site for all of those details that get lost in listservs, direct emails, conversations. I have seen so much information shared in listservs and in other places that aren't as easy to find later on, and so we'd like to comb those resources and provide tips, common ideas, ways of approaching challenges. Yeah, we're calling it FAQs. These are not necessarily always answers, but they are solutions, they're ideas, they are ways of getting started when facing a problem or a situation that you would like more information from others who maybe have already faced a situation before. So we would like to mine data listservs and other resources to see how are others dealing with these situations, and of course allow for complexity of these issues with a living resource that kind of allows for answers that grow as data services grow within our field. And lastly, I would like to talk about something that's really exciting that we have in the works. We are building a data services internship. This internship is focused on library students or interested grad students from racial and ethnic groups that are underrepresented within our profession. These interns can participate in a virtual method or in person, probably virtual for a while. These interns will work with the NCDS to provide support on a very well-structured project over 10 weeks. These interns are paid for their work, and they'll also have the ability to show their experience prior to graduation and marketability for being able to obtain a data position or a position that has some data assignment or data responsibilities. One really exciting part of this is that we were accepted into Hampton University's Leading the Charge program, which is an EDI initiative funded by the IMLS. As part of that, we are working on our own project and led by an EDI consultant. So for our project, we are developing this internship with the hopes of thinking through barriers, potential pitfalls, opportunities that we want to make sure we take advantage of, all with the support of this wonderful community that's been developed, as well as our own EDI consultant that we meet with regularly. So we plan to share about this internship regularly, which I'll talk about in a second. And we also plan to, of course, open it up so people can apply and participate this summer. All right, so real quick, how do you get in touch with us? How do you keep up with what we're doing and what all we have going on? You can follow us on Twitter if you are a Twitter person. We also share out information through the RML. So if you're part of the listservs or you receive newsletters from your RML, you'll see information about what we have going on. Of course, we also post to, the various medical librarian, data librarian listservs and professional organizations, and provide information on our website, which is very new. It's kind of like a baby website and will be developed over time. And we hope to also develop our own newsletter in time. Now, if you need to get in contact with us directly, you can also email us at nnlm-ncds@nyulango.org and get in contact with us that way. And the last thing I'll mention before handing it back over to Elisa are we're going to be presenting at conferences soon as well, so you can hear more about us very soon. First, we'll be in March at the RDAP Summit. We'll be presenting again about the NCDS, and we'll also be presenting about the internship. So I mentioned during the internship slide that we want to be very transparent with the progress we make as we develop this internship. So, and our participation in Leading the Charge, which is a 3-year program. So we'll be presenting at RDAP about where we are in the process, and we'd like to continue to present about our progress with the development and refinement of the internship over the next few years. Next is in May at the MLA conference in New Orleans. We have a really exciting panel about moving data services forward through cross-institutional collaboration. So our panelists are half from the Data Curation Network and half from the Data Discovery Collaborative. And so we're really excited to hear from them about how they were able to develop these communities, providing more in-depth data services and opportunities for you to develop data services across other institutions in order to really meet the needs of your institution. All right, I'll let Elisa take it away.
Okay, so this is really the part where, it's the end of our formal presentation where we're looking for more input from you, which is partly through some more Mentimeter. And also, you've been putting some questions into the chat all along and I've tried to answer them, but, now would be the time for, more Q&A. So put any questions into the chat, this is really just sort of taking the pulse of what kinds of things people are interested in, but certainly, if you have a partner that you think, organization that you think should partner with the NCDS, feel free to throw that in chat or email us, just in any way, reach out. Let us know, again, if you're interested in serving as an instructor or mentor, throw your name out there and we'll, add it to the list. And so we'll have a start of who to reach out to when the time comes for that.
Just a quick statement, Elisa. There were some questions about the listserv and, what exactly we were thinking about in that context. And as Elisa said, we haven't really thought it all the way through yet, but, the initial thought is, in terms of the listservs, is to see what questions are being repeatedly asked. What are questions that people struggle with? So part of it is looking at themes and not necessarily, copying word for word question or response to those questions, but using the listservs as kind of as a data source to say, wow, there's a lot of discussion around this topic and there's lots of questions about where to find good training material or, questions about where to find training on this, or how do I approach this problem? And really that will be a big framework, and it's not so much trying to copy word for word, you know, what other people are, you know, kind of as their own personal opinions or things like that. So I just wanted to throw that out there, but it is something that we will work on. And throughout all of this process, our goal is to keep everybody informed and get people's feedback. So I think that's a really great question, and thank you for bringing it up.
And I'll just say that in looking at the responses, I'm really heartened to see how many people have organizations that would like to partner, would like to serve as mentors or instructors, and also obviously glad that a lot of people are interested in using the classes and resources. But you know, it looks like there's going to be a lot of good opportunities for partnership. And I'm going to now take us to the last question that we'll ask you, which is to rank these topics in order of your interest. And again, just throw any questions or comments into the chat and we can address them. I guess it's not, they're coming out fairly even, which I guess is not too surprising because, you know, one of the things with data services is it's really broad and it varies so much from institution to institution what the needs are, and from librarian to librarian, you know, what the services that you end up kind of developing skills in are. So, and again, not surprising that data management is high on the list with the NIH requirements coming out. And if anybody wants to put into the chat any other types of training they would be interested in, or any other, you know, anything more specific within these categories, that would also be, we'd love to hear that. And Abigail and John are talking about needing advanced stuff in most of these areas. They kind of already have the 101s under their belt, and that is something that we will be, you know, it becomes, we'll be looking to develop people's skills as well. And, you know, some of that is things like the code, like codathons and things that help people work within a group, within a community, to sort of, you know, learn from each other and develop skills together.
I think too, that's also a place for like our annual short course, which is a way to, you know, not be tied to the computer, but still get a little bit of in-depth training or update on a very specific area. So I think that would be a great area. We would love input in regards to what specific topics you'd like to see in future years for the short course, as well as some of our practitioner perspectives, which are really about those kind of specialized areas.
So yeah, so data mining, machine learning, I think these are, again, data de-identification, that's always a challenging issue. Integrating with big data. There's a question in here, is there a liaison to LIS program where skills are included in degree programs? There was something, Peace, do you have anything to say on that one?
Sorry, say it again.
There's a question about being liaison to LIS programs where skills are included in degree programs. It's not something we have on sort of for the first year, but it is something we had kind of mentioned, I think, in the longer term plan in the proposal.
Charles, are you thinking in regards to providing support to people teaching some of these skills, or are you thinking of like mentoring students going through these programs? What are you thinking in regards to kind of that role? I think it's a really interesting question. And hopefully I can find your answer.
And then Mary Ellen Sloan asked, would like a basic survey to distribute to faculty to determine their needs for training, resources, and support. And that's actually something that, so there's also the National Evaluation Center from NNLM, and that seems like something that, you know, would be, we could work with them in a collaboration if that's something that's a broad need.
I think there are also some great ideas, and we are going to capture the chat, so hopefully it'll give us time to, you know, go into these more in depth together and see where the suggestions are going. But I saw a lot about mentoring like current librarians and providing support there, and I think that's a really great idea that we'd like to probably capitalize on as well.
Yeah, that's something that originally the RDM 101 and 102 courses did have a mentorship component, and those are courses that are, you know, not just for new librarians, but also for librarians looking to reskill in the data area. And that's a, there weren't resources to do that, but now, you know, that's something we're looking to reintroduce to those programs. So that would be an example of some mentoring for people who are, you know, already librarians. Jennifer, who's at Doty, who was hoping that the center's objectives would also include building much clearer and stronger connections between library data services and the relevant parts of NIH. Could you say a little bit more? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, but
and while you're typing, I saw Kate's comment about hearing how to scope library data services in your local context. How do you figure out what your team's top priorities should be out of the diversity of data services that can be offered? So that may be a good topic for, you know, some of our webinars or even a short course, as well as the pathways that we like to create as far as online pathways for providing data services. I know that's more kind of looking internally, but I think looking institutionally is really important. I think a lot of initial trainings around data services were focused on kind of how to ramp up data services, how to do kind of a needs assessment. So I think it's also important to circle back to those as well, so that, you know, people who are entering data services now or thinking about their next steps with what they're providing currently have some support. So thank you for that suggestion.
So Doreen, you asked about NIH data repositories that accept PHI, and NIH does have a listing of their different data repositories, and I know that some of them are not fully public, that they do have things that you have to, you know, I think that they do have levels of access. So I would imagine that listing on their site would provide some guidance into finding repositories that accept PHI. So advocate to get open data, open science into tenure promotion. That's a tough one. That's what I may say. We may be a little bit out of scope for what the center is going to be able to do. But hopefully we can provide at least a community in which people can share their experiences doing that. But that is always a big challenge. And feel free if we missed anything, any of the sort of comments or questions, feel free to type them in again. It's clearly, obviously this is going by at a pretty rapid rate.
I saw Charles follow about his earlier question regarding kind of working with LIS programs and the idea of content and lessons and things like that. And everything that we do plan to make open access. We do have a learning objects repository with the NNLM, and we do plan to make our resources available through the learning repository. NNLM has a YouTube channel as well where every webinar and things like that are recorded and made available with captioning. So those are great resources for integrating into your course. I fully understand it myself. I teach research data services and libraries at San Jose State, so I know that quality materials and resources are really useful. Again, other suggestions or things that you may think of, please let us know. Thank you for sharing that link in the chat.
Pathway about data, open science, and research waste. So maybe more of a reproducibility sort of oriented pathway. That's from Kate. This is, I think, the follow-up to Jennifer. I had asked you, I wasn't quite clear on what you meant. Communicate. Yeah, so Jennifer, if I understand your question correctly, yeah, I mean, it is a challenge, but I do think that the new, I hope that you'll come to the webinars on the NIH data management and sharing plans, because the idea is that we're going to have these practitioner perspectives, so people who are finding ways to work within their institution, and we're getting people from a number of different institutions to kind of get more leverage around those getting involved in that type of thing, and not just sort of ticking a box. Because I think researchers and institutions are getting, starting to, I don't want to say get nervous, but starting to realize they're really going to have to take this much more seriously. So I think that that's an opportunity, and we hope to provide, as I said, through the webinars, some perspectives on different ways that people are getting, collaborating within their institutions around that. Okay. I don't know if we've. All right. There's some talk about pipeline, and we are, we're starting that with the internship program, for graduate students, LIS or other interested health sciences graduate students. And that's, in terms of a pipeline, that is where we're starting. There was mention of a high school pipeline, which would be great, but that's sort of not in our sort of initial set of plans. We're, but it would be great. It's a great idea. It's certainly not a year one plan for us, but something to consider.
I'd like to add to that. Again, this is really a network collaboration. There's been a lot of work that's happened before we existed and is continuing. We do have a data science working group, which consists of people across the RMLs, offices, and centers within NNLM. Many of the RMLs are hiring or have hired data coordinators who have some specialized knowledge in some data services and provide support at that level. So we are really enthusiastic and excited about the opportunities. And we really appreciate all of the feedback you've provided thus far in the chat. This is very useful for us to kind of focus our efforts in the areas that are useful for you rather than just doing what we think are useful. And again, we do plan to, I know it's kind of hard to keep up with chat with the various input, but we are going to see these later and look through these and make priorities of what we're seeing.
So Robin, that's a very good question about how the data management plans are going to be evaluated by NIH. You know, for this data management plan challenge, one of the things that we, some of the people in the center participated in was developing a rubric by which to judge these data management plans. And that's something, you know, we will share with NIH. I don't, you know, and we'll, you know, I don't know that they will adopt ours. I hope that they will sort of give it some serious consideration, but, you know, I think that that's really going to be determined. And, you know, even if there's a rubric, it's certainly going to vary by study section and all of that. So I think that would be certainly part of, I mean, again, a big focus this year is the NIH data management sharing requirements. So I see a lot of plus ones there. And I think that everybody is in that boat of really wanting to know how best to, you know, advise their researchers on, you know, how to create data management plans that are going to be considered acceptable by NIH. So Oliver asked about libraries receiving data sets from researchers with minimum background information and are expected to catalog data sets and make them available. Well, I'm not sure if that's a question or a statement. I'm not sure what, but you know, Oliver, maybe you can sort of follow up a little more. I mean, I think, you know, what level of curation a researcher might turn to a library for or can expect is going to vary. I mean, I don't think that you know, a library, if a researcher comes and gives you just like a bunch of undone, you know, spreadsheets with numbers in them, there's not much you can do, and there's not much you should. I mean, you know, there's only so much the librarian can know without the proper information from the researcher. You know, it's their work, it's their data. So I think there's a degree in which, you know, we have at NYU we have a data catalog, and so that's sort of a much like a higher level of metadata, and you know, even that is something where you need often to talk to the researcher, look at their publications to be able to do that level of indexing. But in terms of curation of data sets where there's no information, that's, you know. Are you going to be participating in the 2023 Year of Open Research spearheaded by NASA? That is not something I knew about. It may be sort of, I feel like it's sort of a little out of scope for us in terms of the health sciences focus, but I could be wrong on that. So, but now I know that it exists.
And I guess I'll just say now others from NNLM know it exists, and they're always willing to add stuff to our plate. So stay tuned.
Okay, all disciplines. All right, we'll take a look at that. Data curation network has checklists. So I think that's in response to what Oliver was saying. So we're at the top of the hour. So if there's, I mean, we can stay on a bit if there are more. The chat is pretty active, not just sort of directed towards the center, but also a lot of conversation, a lot of good conversation there between people. So
really great.
This is Rebecca. If I could interrupt just a sec. I'll just let everybody who's still on the call know that we will send the recording out to a link to the recording to all the registrants. It takes up to about 30 days for us to process and edit and caption that. We'll include a 508 accessible version of the slides or a link to that and all the links that were shared today as well. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, and thank you for the link, Chris. So yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that. And you know, this is again what we sort of hope for from this is not just for us to share with you what we're planning to do, but to really get this input from the community, because you know, across all of you there, you know about lots of things that we don't know about, and you know what your needs are for in your particular institution. And you know, we have a lot of experience in this. That's why we're doing it, but we don't have experience of all institutions and all situations. So this is great.
And thank you to those who volunteered themselves so far. I'll be in touch with you. Thank you for being willing to share your knowledge.
Yes. All right. So I think we can wrap it up at this point. So thank you all so much for coming. We look forward, you know, to working with you over the coming years. And you know, you have ways to get in touch with us, the NNLM-NCDS at nyulangone.org. That's also on the website. So if you have further questions, further input, you know, please reach out.
Thanks for watching. This video was produced by the network of the National Library of Medicine. Select the circular channel icon to subscribe to our channel, or select a video thumbnail to watch another video from the channel.